So when we're launching a product, we have all this excitement. We spent months and months and months identifying the opportunity, developing the product, and it's ready for prime time. We unleash it to the world, and sometimes that first week or two just are lackluster and don't go how we think it was going to go, and don't hit the targets we had in place for what we thought the performance of our launch would be. So the purpose of this video is really just to review the troubleshooting playbook that we use when a launch isn't achieving the organic rank and or sales performance that we were targeting. Core point here is that launches aren't always perfect, but you absolutely can control improving them and turning things around if you approach things methodically, if you evaluate the data, and you implement strategies that can course correct both the data performance and organic ranking of a particular product. So I've got a perfect example with my home goods brand. Before I sold it, we had a mirror that we had, like a larger mirror. And again, kind of the data looked all right. We kind of, optimized the product development. We thought we were in a really good spot. And really like the first 3 to 5 days were just absolutely crap. First of all, one of the key visual differentiators that I'd hoped to use with this particular product was to use kind of more of a situational / lifestyle image versus a pure kind of white background image. Oftentimes in the home goods category, you can get away with that pretty easily. But immediately the listing image got suppressed. That was kind of a unique take to, instigate click-through rate and kind of get people's attention versus what else was out there. So we had to divert to a more vanilla kind of white background image that took away a lot of the visual differentiation. So that happened. But then just the pay-per-click performance wasn't there. We weren't kind of seeing what we thought was going to have happen. And so we have all this inventory because you're planning for things to go well. And you're stuck with it if you don't course correct. You also really want to harness the power of that honeymoon period because you've got that window of opportunity again where Amazon's going to give you a lot of organic rank benefit during that period. So you don't want to squander it. So, the mirror example is one. We basically spent a ton of time basically removing some of our pay-per-click targets. So anything that wasn't hyper target one critical in terms of relevance. In this case, it was like a color description of what the frame color was. We just focused only on that frame color. We didn't do anything else. Even though there was other broader mirror terms that we wanted to rank for, we left those alone. So that's one thing we did. We also did about 3 tests, I think, in terms of changing the listing image and finally found one that had a really good click-through rate. So we did a lot with the creative as well. So that's kind of what we did. But here's the general playbook that we tend to follow if we don't have a launch going well. First of all, you got to follow the data. Look at the metrics daily tracker. That's the most critical thing. See what exactly is happening, and you can oftentimes see with the data, where things may not be going right. And here are some of the core ones. Sessions is probably one of the biggest, right? You're not always going to convert great when you first launch a product simply because you don't have reviews and a lot of that other momentum that comes into play for converting customers. But you should be able to control sessions when you're deploying pay-per-click and all the other traffic strategies we talk about. You definitely should start to see an uptrend on sessions. And if the sessions aren't there, if you're not getting people that are actually clicking through to your listing and on your listing, you're not going to get those signals, those algorithmic signals that are needed with the Amazon algorithm to organically rank your product and index for the keywords we care about. So sessions is a big one, and you want to monitor that daily with the metrics tracker, obviously. The other one that you don't have an explicit data point from Amazon on, but plays into this is the add to carts. Are enough of those people that hit your page, both adding to cart and then the line below actually buying the product and generating sales? You've got to get some of that activity going between those two. And if you're basically getting 0 sales or 1 sale, 2 sales a day, there's usually something happening where you're not converting the customers. So first, if you're not getting sessions, you can address the sessions thing by driving more traffic. If you feel like you're getting the sessions but not the sales, then you've got a conversion issue. So that will help hone in your strategy and what you do next, analyzing those first 3 top line things. The next thing that can really hurt or help your rank and your launch performance is going to be the pay-per-click performance. More specifically, are you getting click-through rate and conversion rate on those pay-per-click terms that you're targeting? Again, one of the benefits of our pay-per-click launch strategy is we shouldn't have a lot of random words in here, right? These should be target ones, key competitors. Like these are words that we should be relevant for and should get the customer's interest, assuming we've got a good offer. So take a look at those, and we basically want to cull the bad performers because those can dramatically hurt rank. Again, in the case of our mirrors, we basically took what we thought were kind of target 1 words, and we got rid of them and we focused only on the actual frame color specifically for a period of a couple of weeks. Got some review volume, got the course corrected sales going, and then we started to drip feed those broader terms in. The final thing is listing image. Again, if you've diagnosed that sessions is not the problem and you're getting enough traffic, you've either got a click-through rate problem and or a conversion rate problem. And oftentimes the listing image is going to have a heavy impact on both of those, especially the CTR. So we want to make sure that we are really evaluating that and maybe testing some additional images to see if we can't tweak both CTR and conversion rate both organically and with pay-per-click. So going through these a little bit, sessions, obviously, are they up or down on a daily basis? Are you getting enough PPC clicks on your listing, and are you getting a lack of sessions from pay-per-click? What's going on with your external traffic strategy? Are you actually running Google Ads? What other traffic sources do you have? Do you need to ramp those up to get more activity on your listing? And then checking in with influencers. If you lined up a bunch of influencers and they haven't posted yet, this is the time to go back to them, instigate them to do those posts and help generate that launch traffic. So sessions is one of the bigger ones that you can look at, again, diagnosing it using the metrics daily tracker. The next is add to carts. Again, we don't have a stat on this from Amazon, but if you're getting a decent amount of sessions and you're not getting sales, one other intermediate thing that could be hurting you algorithmically is the lack of add to carts. And we've got a whole section here if you wanted to do some of those add to cart strategies, again, that do have some risk with them, but those are something that you can look at. But you should be looking at organic conversion rate, pay-per-click conversion rate, and those can typically tell you if those are low, you're generally not getting enough add to carts. On a related note, sales, again, organic conversion rate, pay-per-click, what's your sessions to sales evaluation? Is it going up, down? And what keywords and targets is it going up, down for, especially with pay-per-click? And again, pay-per-click is a massive one. Sometimes if you just shut off ads that are really poorly performing, across the board, you can see organic rank improvements for your listing. So you do not want to necessarily set it and forget it. We're not going to do a whole lot of adding new words and all that stuff during this launch phase for pay-per-click. But what we should be doing is definitely culling the ones that are potentially detrimentally hurting your organic rank and performance. So you want to evaluate those poor performers daily. You should be looking at your keyword performance at an ad level daily and just seeing what's happening, especially against previous days. So you want to kill the high impression and or the high click words and targets that are not getting any sales. That's one way to call it, and we'll get into that in depth in the pay-per-click module as well. You want to kill high spend and high ACoS targets. So if you've even got some sales on some, but you've got massive amounts of spend and it's just not working out, you may want to kill and or reduce bids there. And then finally, you may want to adjust budget on those high ACoS targets. So you may want to kind of reduce your bid such that you're not getting served up as much traffic on those ones that you might be getting sales on, but it's not really at a clean ACoS. So pay-per-click's a big part of this. And then finally, again, the listing image and creative strategy that can help instigate both click-through rate as well as conversion. So if you're seeing like a dud and you're not getting the activity that you want, and creative is one of the things that you want to kind of test, we typically would change every 2 to 3 days. You want to give it a couple days worth of data because there is some time delay with some of the reporting, especially with pay-per-click attribution on Amazon. So do it every 2 to 3 days, but monitor daily the sessions to sales and the pay-per-click click-through rate especially changes, because even if you're not getting sales with pay-per-click, oftentimes the creative and changing that listing image, you can kind of start to see if more people are clicking through from the impressions. And the other thing that you may want to do just to really quickly turn this around and identify what changes you may need to make is to leverage PickFu to get some quick feedback on adjustments. So you can take the existing assets that you have, maybe try a new one, maybe change the angle, change the focus, lots of different things you can do to tweak, maybe put a package in there in the background. Bunch of different things you can do to test, but you can go quickly and with a matter of an hour or two get 50 plus responses on PickFu that will help you kind of hone in on the next test that you may want to do with your image. So it's never one size fits all when you're kind of evaluating these troubleshooting things when you're doing a launch, but you want to really just be focused on the data, look at those metrics, look at your pay-per-click, and then look at some of those qualitative creative factors and make adjustments and test. Test something, wait a day or two, try something else, wait a day or two, until you start to see that organic performance and those data metrics improve on a daily basis.